Right, so we'll be starting. So hope the slides are clear, right? Visible. The slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So yesterday, what we have discussed two important things, right? One, the structure inside of this thing. One second, let me open the pointer. Right. So first thing what we discussed yesterday was the structure similarity of the H1 antagonist with what? With cholinergic receptors antagonist, right? So that was the first thing. So what trying, we were trying to make more selectivity toward the H1 antagonist activity, right? So the important thing which we discussed were that a molecule for the classical H1 antagonist properties should have two aryl rings, right? This was the very common thing. Now these aryl thing can be what? One of these two aryl can be the heteroaryl, right? We have talked about the pyridyl or the pyridine group, right? The second heteroaryl or the aryl group, right? There was the possibility of the substitution at two positions, basically at the second position and at the fourth position, right? So when we are adding the alkyl substituents at the fourth position, right, what was happening? The histaminic activity, antihistaminic activity was increasing, right? And if you are increasing the alkyl substitution at the C2 position, what was happening? The cholinergic, anticholinergic activity was increasing, right? And at the fourth position, we have also discussed one of the important thing, that we can also substitute that place with the halogen group, right? So that was the common thing. The second thing which we discussed was about this X, right? This X can be oxygen, nitrogen, and the carbon, right? So when it is a carbon, right? So all the molecules which have a carbon here, and if these two rings are different, so they will be showing a chiral property, right? They will be chiral in nature, right? The third thing which we discussed was the spacer, right? In the spacer, what was there? There was basically, it can accommodate up to three carbons, for example, methane, ethane, and propane, right? Then we have discussed about this nitrogen, right? So the nitrogen can be substituted with the dimethyl group. Here it can be a CS3, here it can be a CS3, or this nitrogen can be cyclized in the form of piperazine or the pyrrolidine, right? So today we are going to discuss about the structures. What are the different types of structures and the drug of different classes, right? Having the same formula, right? So we'll be discussing this thing we have discussed yesterday, right? So basically I'll be starting with the ethanolamine, right? So ethanolamine will come into the picture when this X will be replaced by an oxygen, right? So this is the first thing. So ethanolamine, why? Because this is the ethanol type of group and this is the amine group. So ethanol and amine combined together are called the ethanolamine, right? So we'll be going to the some examples. For example, we have a diphenhydramine, right? So what we have two phenyl rings, one and two. So diphenyl basically, right? And this is the amine. So it is saying the amine group, right? So we have a oxygen in the ethanolamine group, right? So this is the common peculiar feature of these inhibitors, right? H1 antagonist belonging to the ethanolamine category, right? So this is the thing, and we'll be simply discussing. See, basically now we have already discussed this thing. We have already discussed about the mechanism and everything. So basically the H1 receptor antagonist, right? So basically what they will do, they will be used for the treatment of the allergies, right? So for example, the diphenhydramine is also used for the treatment of allergy, right? So now one thing is there, you might be heard about this name diphenhydramine. So basically it's a very common ingredient in those cough syrups, right? In the cough syrup. But you might also be knowing about the fact that basically this diphenhydramine causes the sedation, right? It causes the sedation by blocking the adenosine receptor, right? So this is major problem with this category of molecule because it is blocking the adenosine receptor. So you might have heard this name Benadryl cough syrup, right? So this drug is the active ingredient of this cough syrup, Benadryl, right? So now this was the problem, right? So in the medicinal chemistry, what we were doing, we are always striving to improve the activity, right? So what the researcher have done, they have identified this diphenhydramine is actually causing some sedation by blocking the adenosine receptor. So what they did in the next generation drug, means the same generation belonging to the ethanolamine, they make another drug, right? They made a dimenhydrinate, right? So if you look at this structure, it is the same. It is the same. So what the new thing they have added? They have added a theophylline moiety, right? Theophylline, which is a very common thing in the tea. For example, caffeine also. Caffeine is also a type of theophylline. So basically what they have added a salt of 8-chlorotheophylline, right? So what the theophylline actually do, it produces the excitation through blocking the adenosine receptor, right? Reducing the drowsiness produced by the diphenhydramine, right? So this is the thing how they have improved the activity, right? Actually this theophylline do not block that. I've actually written it block, actually it blocks. Yes, it is blocked, right? So this is the common thing, right? How they have improved the activity, right? Now some other drugs are there. For example, in the earlier drug C, there was an oxygen, right? So what we have now, we have an oxygen and we have a substitution of a methyl with this carbon, right? So this molecule is the doxylamine, right? And the second molecule is the clemestin. Up now see in the, what is the difference between the doxylamine and the clemestin is they both belong to the ethanolamine category. But what is the difference? See, here we have a free nitrogen, right? Dimethyl nitrogen. Here the nitrogen has been cyclized, right? So this is one of the thing. Now, for example, now see here. For example, if you have a benzene ring, if you have a chlorobenzene, if you have a methyl group over here. So basically this carbon will be chiral, right? Because we have all four different types of atom at the center carbon, right? So basically this is the chiral carbon, right? So now what is the second thing in this molecule? See, in this molecule what we have a second aromatic group as a pyridyl ring, pyridyl ring, pyridyl ring or pyridyl ring, pyridine ring, right? It can be anything. You can call it pyridine, pyridyl, right? Anything. So this is basically a pyridyl ring. So basically it is used to improve the selectivity toward the H1 receptors, right? So basically what we are doing, we are overcoming the problem of these antihistaminic agents, basically particularly the H1 antagonist towards the cholinergic receptor, right? So we are first improving the selectivity. So how we are improving the selectivity? By using the SAR techniques which we have discussed in the yesterday class, right? So see, you will be getting all the examples. For example, if you see this molecule, this R double dash is substituted methyl here. We have a nitrogen at the second ring, right? So in this case, we have a chiral center, right? So every example will come, and importantly, we have a cyclized nitrogen, right? The nitrogen is not in the free form, right? So these are the major thing. So all of these drugs which we are discussing, they are used to combat the allergy, right? Because they will be interacting with the H1 receptor, right? So this is the very common thing. Right, now we'll be moving to another category of drug, that is the alkyl amine, right? Why we are calling it alkyl? Because instead of oxygen, we have a carbon here, right? So it is an alkyl amine, or we are saying it a propylamine. Propylamine, why? Because we have three carbons, 1, 2, and 3. Methyl, ethyl, and the propyl, right? Everything is the same. So now I'll be showing you some of the example. So the first example is chlorpheniramine. Chlorpheniramine, right? Chlorpheniramine maleate. It comes in the market as the chlorpheniramine maleate, right? So it is more tolerable than the cetirizine drug, right? So now see the important thing what we have a two aromatic ring, right? One aromatic ring, we have the pyridyl or the pyridine ring, right? As we have discussed in the SAR yesterday. So to make the molecule more selective. The second thing what we have is this chloro group instead of a alkyl group. So basically this is the fourth position, see, right? This is the fourth position, 1, 2, 3 and fourth. This is the fourth position, and the fourth position we can put what? We can put the alkyl or the halogens, right? So what we are doing here, we are putting a halogen to improve the selectivity of the drug, right? So this is the example. This is basically the example, and I am written the basically for what purpose they are used. So basically they are used for treating different types of allergies, right? So this is the important thing. So for the exam point of view, see what are the major things that are important, right? There might be chances you could not remember the use of every drug, right? But you should remember the general structural insights of the drug, of a common drug. For example, you should know a common formula, right? What is the common framework for this antihistaminic agent H1 particularly, right? Then you should remember ki what type of functional group we can put, right? For example, in the aromatic ring, what could be the possible substitution which we can do, right? What can be the possible substitution in the second aromatic ring, for example, at the C2 and the C4, right? What could be the fate of this nitrogen, whether it can be in the primary form, secondary form, tertiary form, or whether this can be cyclized, right? So this thing is important. So these type of thing you should remember. For example, when you will be pursuing your research or something like that, you will be working on the drug design, right? For example, if someone of you want to work on this development of antihistaminic agent, right? So they should know about the general structure. What is the structural prerequisite, right? If they know the structural prerequisite, they can just modify their molecule and try for the activity, right? So this is the common thing. Then what we have, these are just the example. This is not in your syllabus actually. These were the modification. For example, the bromophenyramine. Bromophenyramine is nothing. We have a bromo group right here. We have an additional bromo group. Then we have a phenyramine. In the phenyramine, there is a simple phenyl ring. And in the chlorphenyramine, we have already seen that. In the chlorphenyramine, there is a chloro group, right? So this is a very simple thing. So now, this type of molecule basically belonging to the phenyramines or the alkylamines, right? They are one of the majorly used H1 antagonist in the market, right? Among this category. So these are one of the majorly used, right? The agent of this class also produce less sedation than the other classical antihistamines. So basically why they are used most? Because they actually produce less sedation, right? For example, you might have taken the phenyramine maleate, right? Why you are taken, why it is a drug of choice in comparison to the cetirizine? Because it is producing the less sedation and having the same mechanism, that is blocking the H1 receptor, right? So this is a very common thing, and that's why these drugs are one of the highly class used drug of the H1 antagonist, right? So this is the thing. Now we have already discussed all the phenyramines are the chiral molecules and are marketed as the racemates or individual active dextro enantiomers. So why is there, right? See, basically, for example, if you see the phenyramine have what? Phenyramines have a X is equal to carbon, right? And if we have a carbon here and we have two different substitution over here and we have a H here and we have this different substitution here. So basically this carbon will be acting as a chiral center, right? You can check any molecule. For example, this bromophenyramine. This is a different group, right? This is a different group. This is a different group. And here we have a hydrogen, this one, right? So again, this is a chiral center. See, for example, this, we have a chlorobenzene here, we have a pyridine ring here, we have a hydrogen here, and we have this linker here, right? So all the substitutions are different. So all the molecules that are belonging to the phenyramine category are chiral, right? So hope you know what is the racemates, racemic mixtures. You know about the racemic mixture. What are the racemic mixtures? That was the questions also in your exam. So basically that have the equal concentration of the dextro and the levo isomer, right? Plus and minus will be equal. For example, how much amount of dextro is there? There is the same amount of levo is there, right? So the total, in the total, when we say about the optical isomerism, it is net zero, right? So this is the thing. Right. So now we'll be moving to a second category of this drug. Right. Now what they have done, see, they have just tried to improve these drug further, right, in the same category. So what they have done, they have tried to make the molecule more rigid. How they have tried to make the molecule more rigid? Firstly, they are putting a double bond, right? They are putting a double bond. So when there will be a double bond, there will be a restricted rotation. This is the first thing to remember, right? The second thing what they have done, they have actually cyclized the nitrogen, right? And the third thing what they have done, they have replaced the halogen with a methyl group at the fourth position, right? So this is one of the common feature, right? So the drug they have generated is the trifluoridine, prolidine. So for example, if you know this structure, this is a prolidine, right? So this is the thing how you can conclude the structure in the exam also, right? So in exam, the question can be like this: what are the important structural prerequisites for this thing, for the H1 antagonist? So there you can just say, okay, this is the formula. Then here we can do a substitution. For example, in the aromatic ring, you are telling. So we can have two aromatic rings. So you can just give an example of one drug. We can replace one aromatic ring with the pyridyl ring. So you can just give an example, right? Then what we can do, we can just put X is equal to OCN. It can be oxygen, it can be a carbon, it can be a nitrogen. So you can again give an example, right? So like that you have to actually answer the questions. I will be not asking the theory questions. Theory answers will be not there, right? They will be basic questions will be there. Now we move to the ethylene diamine. So basically, what is the ethylene diamine? It's the ethyl amine and the diamine, right? So diamine means, see, we have discussed this thing yesterday. So diamine means we have the two nitrogens. We have the two nitrogens in a structure, right? So here we have X is equal to N. This X is replaced by the nitrogen. So we have the two methyl group, methyl and the ethyl. So the names come ethylene diamine, right? We have a 2 CS2 and two nitrogens, right? So this is the thing. Now, the example of this category, right? So the example of this category is triphenamine, right? So what they have done, see, both the nitrogens are common. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. See, the first thing what we have, this is the common formula. So we are talking about the diamine, one nitrogen and the two nitrogen. Now the example is the triphenamine, right? So see this thing. Here is the nitrogen, the breathing nitrogen, and we have a nitrogen at this position, right? And again we have two aromatic rings, right? So here the aromatic rings are not directly attached, right? They are attached at some distance. So there is a some distance also, right? This is the important thing. So this is the methyl and this is the ethyl, right? So basically we have a second group which is the pyridyl, right? So this is the common thing. So again, it's an anti-allergic compound used for hypersensitivity reaction, coughs and common cold. So the use will be same. Use will be same. Right. Now we move to the phenothiazine. Right. So now the important things come here. Right. We have discussed that we have to remove the flexibility of the molecule. Right. For example, these two aromatic rings were attached to a single bond. Right. So there will be some flexibility. Right. So what they have done, they have actually bridged this two aromatic rings, right? So they have made it a tricyclic type of molecule, right? So if the molecule will be tricyclic, it will not be able to rotate freely, right? So this is the thing. So this gave rise to the phenothiazine category of H1 antagonist, right? So basically this is the general formula where we have a methyl, ethyl, and we have a chain, right? We have a chain. So I'll be just showing you some of the examples. So for example, it is example of the I do not know why this is okay, this is gone. Right. So basically this is the promethazine. You might have heard about this drug, right? So in the promethazine, what we have, why it is firstly called it is the promethazine. Azine. What could be the azine? If you remember the Hans-Waldman nomenclature, azine is the cyclic molecule having a nitrogen, right? So this is called the promethazine, right? In the promethazine, what we have actually cyclized this thing, right? This thing, we have actually cyclized these two rings. So these two rings are now not freely rotable, right? We have hindered the rotation of these two rings by bridging them with the thia and the azine group, right? This thiazine ring, right? So basically the restricted rotation has been reduced, right? So now one thing will be there, if you agree with me. For example, as the compound become more nonpolar or as the compound become more planar, see, earlier there was the flexibility, right? The molecule were flexible before this phenothiazine category. So the molecule was not crossing the blood-brain barrier, right? That was the first thing. It was not crossing the blood-brain barrier. But what the thing when we are doing, when we are actually rigidifying a molecule, when we are making a molecule rigid, right? So what will happen? There will be less number of conformation in that molecule, right? And that compound will behave as more non-polar, and there will be high chances that that molecule can cross the blood-brain barrier, right? So if a molecule is crossing the blood-brain barrier, what will be the fate? Basically, it can interact to the central nervous system with the receptors there, right? So basically, what were the receptors? S3 and H4. Or we are also saying that some of the H1 receptors have been found in the brain also. The scientists have claimed this thing there was an article in the 1998 where they have seen that some of the H1 receptors are also expressed in the brain. So basically, if they are acting in the brain H1 receptors also or into the S3 or S4 receptor, so they will be causing some other effects also, which are basically mediated by the central nervous system. So see, for example, the promethazine. So basically, it's an first generation antihistaminic agent used to treat the allergic condition, right? The second thing, it is used for treatment of nausea, vomiting, and the motion sickness, right? Why? Because it is also interacting with some of the H1 receptors in the brain, which are actually mediating these responses, right? So this is the thing. As we are making the molecule more rigid, it is becoming more non-polar, right? And if it is becoming more non-polar on lipophilic, it will be easily crossing the blood-brain barrier. So this is one of the
Excuse me, sir.
important thing. Yes, yes, yes.
सर मुझे ना बोर्ड दिखना बंद हो गया, मतलब मुझे प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं दिख रही सर अब.
The same problem is with everyone or? Hello.
No, sir, दिख रहा है.
Might be who has asked. Actually, I'm not able to see who has asked this question. So basically, there will be some network issue, I guess. Anyways,
और सर मुझे ना भी बीच में किसी ने क्लास से रिमूव भी करा था.
no problem. That was a problem with you in the first semester, or that fourth semester also. So what you can do, what I have done, I will be sharing these slides also, right? The first thing, even I am just recording this session. If in case if you missed something, you can just go to the recording session also, right? So that is placed in the MS Team only recording session, and the slides I'll be forwarding once I complete this H1 antagonist, right? So I'll be forwarding the slides. I'll be forwarding some of the literature also and some of the books. I'll be putting them in the Moodle, right? Is that satisfied your query?
जी सर, जी सर.
Yes, yes, yes. Right. So we were talking about the rigidity, right? So we were talking that if we make a molecule more rigid, it will behave as more lipophilic, and the lipophilic molecules have the property that can easily cross the blood-brain barrier, right? So now they have the structure resemblance with the histamine receptor, right? So basically they can also interact to the some of the histaminic receptor that are present in the brain, right? It can interact with the H3H4, or it can interact with the rarely found H1 receptor there, right? In the brain, right? In the CNS, central nervous system, basically in the hypothalamus or in the CNS, right? So they can also arouse some different effects other than in the treatment for the allergies, right? So this was the important thing I was talking. This group was placed to bridge this aryl group and this aryl group, right? Then we have a trimiprazine. So in the trimiprazine, there was nothing new. But what the thing they have done, they have just added a methyl group. See, there is a general formula again, R dash, R double dash. So it can be methyl. Here it is also a methyl, and here it is also a methyl, right? So the simple thing is there. So the important thing what they have done, see here, they have added an extra methyl group, extra bridging carbon is here, right? If you look at this thing, just give me a second. Huh? Hello, hello, hello. हेलो, उसके ऊपर भी करना है सर? सर मैं करके भेजता हूँ आपको, मेरी एक्चुअली मैं क्लास के बाद मैं जस्ट आपको करके भेजता हूँ. यस यस, ओके ओके ओके, ठीक है सर, मैं भेजता हूँ आपको. ओके ओके, मार्च मार्च, ओके ओके ओके, मैं आपको कॉल करता हूँ, मैं आपको जस्ट कॉल करता हूँ क्लास के बाद. यस सर, यस सर. Sorry for that. So we were talking about this molecule. So what we have done additionally, we have additionally added a methyl group. So when we are adding a methyl group, what will happen? The molecule will become more lipophilic, right? So again, if the molecule is becoming more lipophilic, what will happen? It can easily cross the blood-brain barrier, and it can elicit some of other activities also other than the anti-allergic activity, right? So the same thing is with this thing, right? So basically it is used for urinary tract infection also, and it can also cause some of the other effects, right? Now the important thing, for example, when we are dealing with the phenothiazines, so basically when we are dealing with the phenothiazines, so basically I am saying the phenothiazines affect the CNS, all the molecules, right? So basically we have to avoid these type of molecule with the alcohol or other sedating agents, right? So if we are using it with other sedating agent, what will be there? There will be a high sedative activity, right? That can cause the drowsiness, or even at the same time when the effect when the doses are too high, it can also causes the coma, right? So we have to avoid this thing with the alcohols or the other sedative agents, right? Now we move to another category. Let me open the pointer, right? So we move to another category called the piperazines. So in the piperazines, what we have this nitrogen is linked with the piperazine group, right? Then everything is the same. So we'll be dealing with the examples, right? So first example is the chlorcyclizine. In the chlorcyclizine, what we have? We have this thing. We have this piperazine ring, and in the second thing, what we have in the second place, what we have this chlorine, right, at the fourth position, para to this, right? So basically again to make the molecule more selective, right? So again, it's the phenylpiperazine we have. It is used for treatments of allergy symptoms, various type of allergy. So chlorcyclizine also have some local anesthetic, anticholinergic, and anti-serotogenic property, and can be used as an anti-emetic, right? Again, the same thing will come into the picture, as we are making a molecule more aromatic, its lipophilic character will increase and it will be showing some activities pertaining to the central nervous system, right? So this is the thing. These are just the example. You have to just go through it, right? You have to not remember them for the exam. Then we have the maclizine. In the maclizine, what we are doing, we are replacing this CS3 with a benzyl ring. See, this is the benzyl ring, CS2, benzene, and the methyl, right? So basically, this one is the benzyl ring. So we are replacing a molecule with a benzyl ring. So what will happen with when we are replacing the molecule with a benzyl ring? It will become again more lipophilic, right? So it will become more lipophilic. So it can be used for treatment of motion sickness also, or for some of the vestibular system diseases, right? So this is the common thing. So basically what they are doing, they are increasing the lipophilicity of the molecule. So these molecule can have a multiple bioactivities. For example, they can be used for the treatment of allergies, as well as they can be used for the treatment of the secondary things, right? For example, the vomiting or the motion sickness or other thing, or the drowsiness, right? So this is the thing. Then we have again a very lipophilic molecules called the haptane. Why this is called the haptane? Anybody can tell this? Why the haptane name is coming to the picture now? What do you mean by haptane? See, basically haptane is a 7-membered ring system. This is called the haptane, right? So this is the haptane. So now you might have heard about this drug, which I'm going to tell you. Cyproheptadine. Anybody have heard about this drug? Cyproheptadine. Anyone? It is used basically as an appetizer, this drug. Why as an appetizer? I'll be discussing that thing, right? For example, this drug has two mechanisms, right? First thing, what it can do, it can inhibit the histamine receptor, H1 receptor. We all know if we are reading the H1 receptor antagonist, we'll be dealing ki all the molecule will inhibit the histamine receptor, right? But the second property of this drug is to inhibit the serotonin, and the serotonin is responsible for the heaviness, basically, right? So it's heaviness of the stomach. So basically in the heaviness of the stomach, we don't feel like to eat food and anything, right? If the serotonin is high in our body, right? So basically this molecule cyproheptadine is used to block both serotonin and the histamine receptor. So when it will be blocking the histamine receptor, it will be used as for the anti-allergic properties, right? It is used for its anti-allergic properties. And when it is inhibiting the serotonin receptor, it will be used as an appetite stimulant or appetizer, right? So this is the common thing. This is the common thing in the cyproheptadine, right? So why this cyproheptadine is behaving like that? Because it is highly lipophilic molecule, right? These rings are imparting its lipophilicity, high lipophilicity, and due to the high lipophilicity and similarity with the serotonin receptor, it is able to bind inside the serotonin receptor also. So basically it has two mechanisms, right? One mediated by the histamine receptor and one that are mediated by the serotonin receptors, right? So this is the second thing. So I already talked about the molecule is lipophilic, so it can enter to the hypothalamus, basically as a part of CNS, right? So this is the common thing. Now we have azatidine, right? See, if you look at the molecule, azatidine and this cyproheptadine and azatidine, both the molecules are same, right? The difference is that we have removed a double bond here, right? And we have inserted a nitrogen here. So when we are doing this, we are removing a double bond and we are inserting a nitrogen. We are making a molecule less lipophilic in comparison to the cyproheptadine, right? Because cyproheptadine was having the serotonin antagonist activity also. This molecule azatidine will not have that thing. So basically, see, this is the nitrogen. So basically the nitrogen insertion adds polarity to the compound and it make it selective toward the H1 receptor, unlike the cyproheptadine. So this is the important thing, this nitrogen and removal of this double bond, right? So this molecule also is also lipophilic, but it is not that lipophilic in comparison to the cyproheptadine, right? So this is the thing to remember, right? Again, now if it is not serotonin antagonist, so it will be acting on the histamine H1 receptor site, right? So these are the normal thing, allergic reaction and the tissue injury response involving the histamine release. So basically it will be blocking the H1 receptor, right? Now, in the next class, we'll be dealing with the second generation H1 antagonist, right? So in the first class, we have discussed also, we have basically two type of H1 antagonists, the classical and the non-classical. For example, we have also talked like the first generation and the second generation, right? So basically, we'll be dealing with the second generation now. Basically, in your syllabus, there is three drug, estimizole, and this estimizole drug has now been withdrawn from the market, right? Then we'll be discussing about the cetirizine and the levocetirizine, right? What is the common difference between them? Why the word levo is there, right? So I'll be discussing this thing in the next class. Next class, that is tomorrow, right? So if anyone have any questions now, they may ask. Any questions they want to ask. And if you didn't get anything, then you can also say, I'll explain that thing. Anyone, any questions, any queries? If there is no question, so I'll just summarize the thing what we have done today, right? So basically what we have done, we have just extended what we have left yesterday, right? So basically in the yesterday class, what we have discussed about the general structure, key what antihistaminic agent should look like, right? So classical one, the H1 antagonist. So basically we have discussed about everything, that aromatic rings, we have discussed about the X, we have discussed about the spacer, and we have discussed about the nitrogen, right? So today we have dealt with different examples, right, from the literature, ki how the people or how the scientists have actually modified the histaminic receptor, right? So we have seen the examples where there was a two aromatic ring, then there were the aromatic ring, one aromatic ring was replaced by the pyridyl ring, right? The second aromatic ring was having the alkyl group at the fourth position, or it was having a halogen group at the fourth position, right? So we have seen that X can be replaced by the oxygen, nitrogen, right, and the carbon. And in the carbon, when we are dealing about the carbon alkylamines, we have discussed that all the alkylamines type of derivatives are chiral, right? We have also discussed that thing. Then what we have done, we have moved to the rigidity, right? Then we have talked about the rigidity, that how the molecules can be made more rigid. The first thing we were doing, we were putting a double bond. The second thing we were doing was putting a bridge between the two aromatic rings, for example the phenothiazines, right? So that were the again example. Then what we have discussed about the fate of that terminal nitrogen, right? We have said that the nitrogen can be in the dimethyl form or it can be cyclized. So we have discussed about the example of the pyrrolidine, we have discussed about the example of the piperazine, right? So this was the thing. This actually completes your basically this thing, the non-classical type of H1 antagonist. So now we'll be moving to the second generation of H1 antagonist in the next class. So if anybody is having some doubts, any queries, if they are not able to understand anything, they can just put their question forward. Anyone, any doubts or anything like that? If there are no questions, queries, or anything, so I am just calling off this class, right? So thank you for joining. Guys, you may leave now. if there are no queries or questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.